Malaysian Prime Minister Dato Seri Anwar Ibrahim will lead Malaysia's delegation to the 78th session of the United Nations General Assembly here. In his first appearance at the annual gathering of world leaders, Anwar will share Malaysia's efforts in addressing the climate crisis and action taken towards achieving the 2030 Agenda. Foreign Minister Dato Seri Dr. Zambri Abdul Qadir said, Prime Minister will also share Malaysia Madani framework. It's very important for us to let the world know what it's all about. Also present were the Malaysian Ambassador to the United States Dato Seri Nazri Aziz, Foreign Ministry Secretary-General Dato Seri Amran Mohammed Zin and Permanent Representative to the United Nations Dato Dr. Ahmad Faisal Mohammed. According to Zambri, the Prime Minister, who is scheduled to arrive here on Wednesday, September 20th, will deliver Malaysia's national statement at the general debate on Friday, September 22nd. During the visit, Anwar will be accompanied by his wife Dato Seri Dr. Wan Aziza Wan Ismail, Home Minister Dato Seri Saifuddin Nazushan Ismail, Investment, Trade and Industry Minister Tengku Dato Seri Zafrul Tengku Abdul Aziz, Health Minister Dr. Zaliha Mustafa and several members of Parliament and government officials. The general debate, which starts today until September 26, will see state and government leaders from 157 countries, as well as 35 ministers delivering their national statement at the United Nations headquarters. This year's theme for the general debate is Rebuilding Trust and Reigniting Global Solidarity, Accelerating Action on the 2030 Agenda and its Sustainable Development Goals towards peace, prosperity, progress and sustainability for all. Zambri said the Premier's presence at the UNGA was expected to receive prominent coverage as many other national leaders who were met earlier stated that they were looking forward to Anwar's speech because of his experience and leadership. He said, Prime Minister will also speak about global conflict, including the Ukraine crisis, as well as the long-standing Palestine and Myanmar issues. The Prime Minister also has been invited to deliver a Friday sermon at the Islamic Cultural Center of New York on September 22nd, the first foreign leader to be given such honor by the city's first mosque. Anwar will also host a dinner for 1,000 Malaysian diaspora on Friday, said Zambri, adding that about 25,000 Malaysians residing in that country. Former Prime Minister Dato Seri Najib Razak had in 2012 ultimately received a total of $30 million Rm 140.8 million in funds, which had originated from $1.64 billion belonging to a One Malaysia Development Berhad subsidiary, the High Court heard. Bank Negara Malaysia analyst Adam Arif Mohammed Roslan laid out the money trail for how money had trickled down from 1MDB Energy Limited's $1.64 billion to several entities, including a company belonging to Malaysian fugitive low-take Joe's Malaysian associate Eric Tan Kim Long, before the $20 million reached Najib's private Islamic bank account. These multi-layered transactions all took place within just 1 month. Adam Arif referred to multiple banking documents for the entire money trail, showing that the funds that entered Najib's Islamic account traveled through the accounts could all be traced back to the 1MDB subsidiary's $1.64 billion. Based on Adam Arif's testimony, 1ML had issued a bond or took on debt to raise funds to buy energy assets, and 1ML had on October 19, 2012 received $1.64 billion in its Falcon Bank account after issuing the bond. He said 1ML had zero funds in its bank account before receiving the $1.64 billion on October 19, 2012, and that 1ML had on the same day transferred $790 million to the British Virgin Islands Incorporated Company Auber Investments PJS Limited's BSI bank account. This Auber is now known to be a fake Auber. In confirming that the $790 million in Auber BVI could be fully traced back to the $1.64 billion from 1ML, Adam Arif said the bank statements show that 1ML had zero funds before it received the $1.64 billion from the bond, and that 1ML did not receive money from any other sources before it sent out the $790 million to Auber BVI. Before Auber BVI received the $790 million in its account, its last balance was over $15 million. He then went on to show how the chain of transactions continued uninterrupted, with ABR-BVI then purportedly investing $291,243,827 or over $291 million into the Systemic Investment Fund on October 23, 2012. Yesterday, Adam Arif showed how $20 million had in 2011 flowed in from funds originating from 1MDB to the same private banking MR bank account owned by Najib, with Najib's account having only RM484 before those funds started coming in. This was the first phase, with funds having also traveled through Lowe's Goodstar Limited's bank account before reaching Najib. Lowe is better known as Joe Lowe. Asked by Deputy Public Prosecutor Kamal Baharan Omar this morning for his full analysis of where the RM60 million had originated from, Adam Arif said this RM60 million sum received in Najib's account from a Riyadh bank account belonging to a Prince Faisal had originated from an Islamic bond or Islamic medium-term note issued by 1MDB's predecessor 1MDB in 2009, as well as a RM2.5 billion syndicated term loan borrowed by 1MDB. Najib was seen in a light gray suit with a red tie, while his wife Datansari Rasma Mansur was not seen inside the courtroom this morning. Najib's 1MDB trial, before Judge Dato Colin Lawrence Sequeira, resumes this afternoon. Former Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin will apply to set aside 3 money laundering charges amounting to about RM200 million linked to the Jana Wibua program implemented by his administration. The Perikatan Nasional chairman's lead counsel, Hisyamte Potik, told Sessions Court Judge Azra Alwi today the application will be filed as soon as possible. He said the application to set aside the charges will be made under Section 173(g) of the Criminal Procedure Code. The provision allows a court to discharge an accused if it considers the charges brought to be groundless. The matter was made known to the court by Muhyiddin's defense team during a mention of the prosecution's application for a joint trial of the abuse of power and money laundering cases which Muhyiddin is facing. Deputy Public Prosecutor Wan Shaharuddin Wan Ladin informed Azra the High Court had allowed Muhyiddin's application to strike out the 4 charges which alleged that he had abused his position to obtain bribes totaling RM232.5 million for Bersatu. On August 15, Justice Jamil Hassan said the charges did not clearly disclose any offense known to law, and were not sufficiently clear to enable Muhyiddin, the Bersatu president, to prepare his defense. He said, "The charges are defective and I am using my inherent powers as there is abusive process." Wan Shaharuddin said the prosecution is appealing that decision to the Court of Appeal. He said a petition of appeal listing the judge's alleged errors has already been filed in the appeals court and the matter has been fixed for case management on September 27. Azra fixed the joint trial application for mention on November 29, pending an update of the proceedings in the Court of Appeal. Muhyiddin was charged with abusing his power and violating Section 4(1) of the Anti-Money Laundering, Anti-Terrorism Financing and Proceeds of Unlawful Activities Act 2001 here and in Shah Alam on March 10. The charges involve 2 counts of obtaining RM195 million from Bukhari Equity, allegedly the proceeds of illegal activities, which was deposited into Bersatu's CIMB bank account. Muhyiddin is alleged to have committed the offences at Menara Sim KL Central at Jalan Stesen Central here between February 25 and July 16, 2021 and between February 8 and July 8, 2022. On March 13, he was also charged in the Shah Alam Sessions Court with 1 count of receiving RM5 million from an illegal activity. The case was later transferred to the Sessions Court here for a joint trial. Deputy Youth and Sports Minister Adam Adli Abdul Halim has hit out at Mutta President Syed Sadiq Syed Abdul Rahman for calling the unity government a NATO no action, talk-only government. In a Facebook posting, Adam Adli said all 3 matters raised by the Muar Member of Parliament, namely allocations for the opposition, asset declarations by cabinet ministers and the dismissal of ongoing corruption trials, have been explained many times either inside or outside Parliament. On asset declarations, he said Prime Minister Dato Seri Anwar Ibrahim had expressed his firm stand on the matter since January and ordered that a more transparent and comprehensive mechanism be created, rather than just a declaration without a specific format. Adam Adley said, not just in a press statement, it was also agreed upon in the Special Cabinet Committee on Anti-Corruption Meeting Series 17 Bill 1 of 2023, which was chaired by the Prime Minister himself last July. On the court decision to grant a discharge not amounting to an acquittal to Deputy Prime Minister Dato Seri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi of his corruption charges, the Hang Tua Jaya Member of Parliament said it was explained in detail by Minister in the Prime Minister's Department, Law and Institutional Reform, Dato Seri Azalina Othman, said in Parliament. He said, the decision to drop the court case, which, I am sure, refers to the Deputy Prime Minister's case, has been answered in detail in Parliament by Azalina in her capacity as Minister of Law and Institutional Reform, while stressing the government's commitment to the separation of powers between the Attorney General and the Public Prosecutor. In fact, the decision to grant a DNAA to Zahid has also been brought to the attention of the Parliamentary Special Select Committee, and will be answered by the Prime Minister himself in the Diwan Rakyat today. As for allocations for opposition Member of Parliament, Adam Adley said that the government has repeatedly reminded the opposition to initiate negotiations about the matter. He said, on the NATO government, it would be better for Syed Sadiq not to just reflect on issues according to his taste. Look at welfare policies under Budget 2023 and ongoing initiatives to eradicate hardcore poverty, resolve the people's problems, and basic needs including schools and healthcare facilities, clean water supply, post-pandemic economic recovery, and the energy transition that will soon begin. In the meantime, Adam Adley, who is also the Angkatan Muda Kedalan chief, also lashed out at Bersatu Youth Chief Wanamad Faisal Wanamad Kamal, who is also a Makhang Member of Parliament, for claiming that the government is practicing pork barrel politics. He said, I'm not sure where the idea of pork barrel politics came from, when his constituency, Makhang, is one of the areas that also received a large allocation of Rm 1.44 billion for Kelantan in the form of basic infrastructure, such as roads and bridges. This does not include the government's commitment to solve the water supply issues in Kelantan, which also reach R1 billion. Former PKR member Cyril M. Arina Abu Sama has defended freedom of speech and the right of peaceful assembly after she was called by police to investigate her role in the Selamatkan Malaysia rally. She said it is not wrong for anyone to express their opinion, as long as they are not breaking the law. It is fine for me as long as it's not crime-related, Cyril Emma, better known as Ratu Naga, alleged that Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim has forgotten his past, alluding to him having taken part in numerous demonstrations during the Reformasi era of the late 1990s by allowing the police to take action against a peaceful rally. She said, we understand that Anwar was famous for defending freedom of speech and street assembly in the past. We don't understand why so many people were called to give a statement for the peaceful assembly held on September 16. We hope to become like him as well. Yesterday, media reported that several people, including Perikatan Nasional leaders, who took part in the Selamatkan Malaysia rally, have been summoned by police to give statements at the Dang Wangi police headquarters. Cyril Emma and Budrul Hasham Shaharan, also known as Chegubard, were among those summoned. Meanwhile, Cyril Emma's lawyer, Zaid Malik, urged the government to examine the judicial basis for its investigation of the rally. He said Cyril Emma was investigated under Section 9(5) of the Peaceful Assembly Act 2012, but there was a precedent set by the Court of Appeal ruling that this article violated the constitutional right to peaceful assembly. Zaid said, the investigation under this law is not valid and is against the federal constitution based on the precedent case of Nik Nazmi Nik Ahmad, the public prosecutor, in 2014. All these investigations are without basis of law. Therefore, I urge the government to take immediate action. Tourism, Arts, and Culture Minister Tiong King Singh told the opposition today to work with his ministry to promote tourism, instead of playing with racial sentiments that could draw foreign tourists away. He said that according to complaints he received from Chinese tourists, the racial remarks made by Perikatan Nasional's leaders have made them indecisive about visiting Malaysia. He said, let's not engage in divisive actions. I'll be honest, Tourists from China have informed us that if we talk like that, they are uncertain whether they should go to Malaysia. Tiong said his ministry is prepared to assist the tourism destinations in the various states. He said some member of parliament did not attend meetings conducted by his ministry, despite the invitations extended to them in response to their suggestions on developing tourism in their constituencies. He said, "The suggestions were good, but we need to cooperate." When the ministry invited them for a meeting, some did not attend. During the budget, we will invite the member of parliament involved with tourism, and we hope they can give their cooperation. Tiong also said 12.7 million tourists had visited Malaysia as of the third week of August. He said the ministry hoped that this year's target of 16.1 million tourists would be achieved. Thank you.